In this review, we're going to look at a film with a homicidal car that terrorizes a small town. How good can a film be with a killer car that's not named Christine? Guess we're going to find out. I'm Bob, you're you, and welcome to Classically Bad Cinema. The Car, a horror film released by Universal Pictures in 1977 that stars Thanos' dad, James Brolin, and also Ronnie Cox, a RoboCop, Beverly Hills Cop, Total Recall fame. It tells the ever so delightful story of an ominous car that goes on a murderous rampage terrorizing the residents of a small town. Just a calm, sunny day in the middle of nowhere when all hell breaks loose. In this case, in the form of a custom 1971 Lincoln Continental. And it doesn't take long for hell to find its first two victims, which are two bike riding people in love. Hell doesn't have any time for their lovey-dovey happiness or the road hogging love. We quickly go from a couple in love to a horn-blowing hitchhiker who has a front row seat to a dysfunctional and toxic couple. Not sure what set this dude off, if it's just he's an asshole or that horrible music the hitchhiker's playing. But he isn't the only one that's had enough of this horn-blowing nonsense. Luckily for him, he uses his horn-blowing ninja skills and manages to jump out of the way and avoid being run down by 5,000 pounds of hell-risen American steel. Unfortunately, he can't leave enough alone and runs his mouth, and he finds out. Again, and again, and again. After being introduced to 3 victims, 2 toxic people, and 1 killer car from hell, we meet the supposed hero of the film, Thanos' dad, Officer Wade Perrin, and his handsy teacher girlfriend, who has a hand-drawn porn addiction. The sheriff office questions Amos over the bucket of hitchhiker, and he proves to be less than helpful, providing little info other than the heavily customized black pimpmobile with no license plate. Although, in fairness to him, he was preoccupied with the violent nature of the murder and also the spousal abuse. The law is a loss at the lack of information, and he's more horrified when victim number 1 is discovered. And it makes matter worse, Wade's partner Luke is concerned that his neighbor may have lied about a job interview and could be a potential victim. The sheriff orders a roadblock with the small town's large-ass police force. No black, blue, or gray cars get in or out.
And that's profiling. And profiling is wrong.
After a long day of homicidal drivers and abusive husbands, Sheriff Peck heads down to the local club for a drink. Or at least that was a plan until our killer car shows up. He probably shouldn't have bragged at the bar last night that he only had 3 days until retirement. I guess Deputy Wade is sheriff now. Congrats and condolences. Believe it or not, as bad as it is right now, it's about to get a whole lot worse.
Worse? How could they get any worse? We're at the threshold of hell!
Victim number 2 is finally discovered, and that results in Deputy Luke breaking his 2 years of sobriety with some cheap Thunderbird. He'll spend the remainder of the film a complete emotional mess.
I'm in a glass case of emotion!
Wade's busy signing off on his boss's funeral and arranging roadblock, tells Luke to go ahead and call the school and tell them that the marching band needs to postpone the rehearsal, with all the vehicular homicide going on. Unfortunately, Luke is too preoccupied with emotional turmoil, and he forgets to make the call.
You're a stupid dumbass.
Well, his day and this situation aren't going to get any better either.
How we doing?
Same as always.
That bad, huh?
He discovers that a deputy who is translating for the eyewitness left out a minute detail that there was no driver.
Things that could have been brought to my attention yesterday!
Of course, it adds to the overall confusion as our newly promoted sheriff continues the task of locating a killer car that hates couples in love, musicians, and authority figures. Fortunately for the car, 2 out of 3 are at the rehearsal. Unfortunately for the kids, 2 out of 3 are at the rehearsal. The car gives them a warning with a violent wind that wasn't a thing 4 victims ago, and of course its menacing horn. The teachers and kids make a run for an old cemetery. Luckily for them, there's a deputy posted at the never mind. Oddly, the car will not go into the cemetery, needing to get to the squad car to alert the police since the one that was posted is either unconscious or dead at this point. Lauren, our handsy, hand-drawn, porn-addicted teacher, distracts the car by running her mouth and taunting it. which proves a bad plan with good execution is still a bad plan. Yes, the police do arrive, and the car, seemingly pissed off, takes off as the police go on a high-speed pursuit through the desert highways. But things quickly turn to shit when the car takes out its rage on the pursuing officers, destroying several highly flammable squad cars and killing 5 deputies. Running out of officers at this point, Wade faces off against the car.
Look, I already got a problem. I got 5 of these guys laid out down here. How many security guys you going to send on me?
After shooting it and not even making a scratch, he attempts to look inside, but the car unleashes his furies and hits him with the door. Damn, did he get off easy, unlike every other person in this film.
Ah, horse shit!
At the hospital, Wade learns of the officers who were killed and is comforted by Lauren and the remaining deputies that he managed not to get killed. He reprimands Luke for forgetting to cancel rehearsal, but backs off when he sees what an emotional mess this guy is.
Keep your tears in your eyes where they belong.
Ever have one of those days that never seems to end? Well, Wade's having one of those. Lauren is driven home to grab a few things when the wind starts blowing, which is a thing now. She runs into the house and frantically calls Wade, who tells her not to venture outside. Good call. She'll be safe. Huh. Guess not.
Well, folks, when you're right 52% of the time, you're wrong 48% of the time.
Probably should have listened to this lady.
Then I ran out. I didn't grab no shoes or nothing, Jesus. I ran for my life. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Also, is her house in the middle of the road? When she dropped off, it looks like her house is on the cul-de-sac. But yet, when the car ramps through it, it lands in the middle of the road, as if her house actually sits in the road. But on the bright side, despite all of this devastation, Wade's portrait survived. Luke explains to his grief-stricken friend that Lauren's death was an act of revenge. Basically, she ran her mouth and found out. Smooth, dude. Real smooth. He theorizes that the car didn't go into the cemetery because it's hollow ground.
Do you even listen to yourself when you talk?
I drift in and out.
Wade isn't having any of his drunken nonsense, even though he witnessed the damn thing disappear before he went unconscious. What's a sheriff to do after losing his boss, half his police force? Go after the car, of course. Wade, whose plan had worked so brilliantly up to this point, devises a plan to destroy the car and uses Amos's explosives. I can't believe the remaining officers he hasn't gotten killed, and the poor assholes that they roped into being deputized hasn't revolted at this point.
I love this plan. I'm excited to be a part of it. Let's do it.
Now there's a face that says, hold my beer. As Amos and the officers prepare the explosive, Wade preps his motorcycle with no idea how he's going to find this damn car.
Do I really look like a guy with a plan?
Wade at this point reminds me of another obsessed sheriff.
I gotta barbecue your assy molasses!
Fortunately for him, it's waiting in his garage. Unfortunately for him, it's waiting in his garage. After some cat and mouse between the two and the car's attempt to kill Wade with carbon monoxide, he manages to dive through a window and take off on his motorcycle. He leads the car through the mountainous canyon where the remaining deputies have set up a trap. Well, at least they're trying to set up the trap. Wade and Luke stand on the edge of the cliff and goad the car into running over them. Well, Wade does. Luke tries to get the hell out of the way, but Wade won't let him until the last second. What was that comment you made earlier?
Just stay on the switchboard.
I'm going. They were my friends, too.
He gave you an out. If he gets you killed, it's your fault, my friend. And also, I love when they do jump out of the way, the car swerves towards Luke. Anyways, the car flies over the cliff, they detonate the dynamite, and in an ensuing explosion, a monstrous demonic figure appears among the flames, so everyone's shocked. Shit, I guess that drunk bastard was right. The end, or is it? Oh well, it's LA's problem at this point. The end for real this time. So what did I think of this 1977 classic? Time to go to the hiss and misses. I will say that the film struggles with clunky dialogue, characters that lack depth, and subplots that are alluded to, but they never follow up on. Like Wade's father, who was a sheriff, the abusive Amos, Lauren, who seems only to be added for the emotional devastation of her death, and of course Luke, who spends entirely too much time with the film an emotional wreck that inadvertently contributes to Lauren meeting her demise. He seems to be the only character that believes that they're dealing with something demonic. And also, this is another film that introduced a real dick of a character and then completely glosses over all the bad shit they've done. I mean, the film really focused on Amos abusing his wife early on, and then it's basically forgotten about by the end. I mean, the overall pacing is solid, but when the film does break from the action, it focuses too much on roadblocks and patrols. The special effects were decent, except for the filmmakers' need to speed up the chase scenes, the oh so cliche exploding car, and of course Lauren's house that looks like it was built in the middle of the road. Also, why 4 victims in? Does Hell's Lincoln create a violent wind that alerts potential victims of its arrival? To me, it was completely unneeded, as its loud engine and sinister horn were more than enough. Looking at the hits, the car is very menacing with its black paint, chopped roof, beepy fenders, and of course that sinister horn. The fact that it strikes randomly really creates suspense, as anyone could be next. And I love the ferocity of the attacks and its sadistic nature, as it seemingly enjoys playing with the victim, whether that's terrorizing the couple on the bikes, toying with the pursuing officer that was trapped in his car as he slowly pushes him over the edge, and of course the craziest of all when it launches itself in Lauren's house, which of course may or may not be in the middle of the road. The film never provides any backstory of the origin of the car, but to me it really utilized that to its advantage. It helped to create that air of confusion and suspense on exactly who or what the police are dealing with. And I also love the ending, with the demon materializing amongst the flames to everyone's shock. The cinematography, the stunts, and the score all help to build tension when Hell's Lincoln just materializes out of the desert in search of victims. Now, while this cult classic starring a homicidal car not named Christine may not be on everyone's must-see list of films, it definitely has its own charm and unique story that's going to both terrify and entertain you. Well, that's all I got. If you enjoyed this film, hit the like and subscribe button below. If you didn't enjoy it, then tell that handsy lady friend of yours to hit that like and subscribe button below. But until next time, I'm Bob, you're you. So long, everybody.